In high school, I was super nerdy, and I still am. I'm a total introvert slash shy person, but I guess I've learned to just do. I'm 50. I've learned. You can't get to 50 without learning some kind of faked extroversion. But I was really good at English and art, and I got A+ for them. But art gave me immediate feedback from my peers, and because I was very quiet and shy, and nearly all my peers were like footy players, and gave me an immediate sense of identity. Whereas with English that I was good at, no one would want to read my stuff. Like, who cares about reading stuff when you're 18 or 17, especially by another 17-year-old? You can immediately see a piece of art and go, that's good or that's bad. You can judge it straight away. And so I'd get immediate validation from painting and making art. And so while I was getting equally good marks for both of those subjects, I decided I'm gonna just paint for the rest of my life. I'm gonna see if I can make money out of it. And I sort of ditched my writing, and I gave up kind of reading, because to become a good writer you have to read, and I read a lot as a kid, and then sort of ditched it. I just read tabloid magazines through my 20s. That was more interesting to me. It was a sense of what's going on, what's happening in the reality land, and so I gave up writing. I sort of dabbled with it with cartoons, because cartoons needed words and pictures. I sort of tried to play around with it sometimes, but I didn't really take writing seriously until my late 30s. And that's because I started reading poetry out of the blue. Not out of the blue, someone shared something with me, and I went, oh my God, that's great, that's amazing. I felt immediately better. I didn't feel alone in the world reading authors from last century. And I started becoming a fan of reading. And I'd forgotten that I was ever good at writing. I just went, and I was just a fan of reading again. And my art never quite took off. Like, I sort of became a cartoonist here and there, combining words and pictures. I was good at art. Like, I figured that I was an 8.5 out of 10 at art, but you have to be like a 10 out of 10 to actually make it in this world. Be able to pay your bills with art. I was really good at it, but not quite good enough. And so I assumed that with my writing as well. But I learned that my writing resonates more than my art. And I never knew that. I never thought about that. I was blown away. It took me 30 years to understand that was something I was good at, and I ditched it. It was right in front of me. The thing that I was good at was right in front of me the whole time, and I didn't care for it. It didn't give me immediate validation at the time when my ego was more precious. When you're 18 and you're trying to form identity, and you're not sure who you are, and you're trying to work yourself out. I still don't know who I am, but when you're 18 to 35, it's tough to try and work out who you are. You feel like you've got to work out who you are and know who you are in the world and all that sort of crap. I still don't know who I am, but I'm more comfortable with that now. But yeah, so what I was good at was hiding in front of me that whole time, and so yeah, back to reading poetry in my 30s. It saved me, and felt like I felt normal for the first time in years reading these words. I went, oh my God, these words are incredible. I thought, oh, I wish I could write like that. And I'd totally forgotten that I was really good at it in high school. That I was getting A+ and shit and topping my classes, and I gave it up. I didn't care for it. I didn't. But that was weird to ditch that. It's funny how something can be right in front of you, something that you're really good at, the whole time. And I felt like I guess I felt in my 20s I had time on my side. Maybe I was good at something else. Maybe I was better at something else. Because art, you can kind of immediately see if you're good at it or not. But words, I just thought anyone could just say my words are good or bad. It's more subjective. I felt like that. Now I know that's not the case. But I just felt like I'm not that. I honestly thought I wasn't that good at writing. I just thought I have bad grammar, Sometimes I have bad spelling mistakes. I was good at it, but I didn't think I was amazing at it, or if it would actually resonate or anything like that. You have to try everything in your 20s and 30s. You have to try and work out, maybe there's something I'm really good at that I just don't know yet, and I have to keep trying all these things. I tried a chef apprenticeship, I tried retail, I tried all sorts of things, and I had to keep bumping my head into walls, walking into walls, until I finally crashed through a doorway. And that took ages to go full circle back to something that I was good at. And because I'd left writing for so long, I'd forgotten that I was ever good at it when I was 17. Because I can't read words by a 17-year-old or rarely anyone younger than me. I've always read people at least 10 years older than me, something that I can learn from. Because it's not really, I always felt like I don't really care about writing style and stylistic and craft. I care about if someone has something beautiful to tell me, and they don't have to be a writer, they can be a train driver or whatever. But if they've lived that through something that's really interesting, or have something interesting to say, then they can write it. A writer is the be all and end all of something just didn't make sense. But yeah, that idea of being good at something and it's in front of your face the whole time. And it's funny how things hide in plain sight constantly in this world. Like when I wrote my mum's book, I wrote some of those quotes for her funeral, and people loved it. People were saying, "Oh, I'd love to read some more," and I thought, "Nah, that's enough. That's enough." And it took me about 5 years to get around to end up writing a book of them. I never actually thought I was going to do it, but sometimes, that was hiding in plain sight. People love that. And I know it doesn't really matter. I should just write what I like, not what people love. But while writing Mum's book, it was hiding in plain sight for 5 years after she died a year ago. It felt so good. It was like, oh my God, this is what I was supposed to do. Why didn't I do this sooner? There's that expression, like, I don't know why I didn't do this sooner. I hear that so often. And there's so many, why didn't I do that sooner? That it's going to happen to me. I know it. I know when I travel, I'm going to say that. Why didn't I do this sooner? Or when I move somewhere else, why didn't I do this sooner? And I guess there's nothing wrong with letting things hide in plain sight as well. Like, I had to go full circle and find out about all the things that I was shit at before coming back like a prodigal son to writing. There's an arrogance in your 20s thinking maybe I'm better at something else. I'm sure I am. But then after I found out I was pretty average at best at most other things in life, I came crawling back to writing. and that's when it got really good. And I'm still surprised people like my writing. Yes, in conclusion, even if let things hide in plain sight, go and just make a whole bunch of mistakes, because my writing wouldn't be as good as it is without having gone through decades of ignoring it. If I'd gone straight into writing, I might have written something really good straight away, done really well, and that would be the end of it. And then I would have lost all passion for it. And I've seen authors, be the next big thing in their 30s, just come and go endlessly. And they decided they were a writer early on. They knew it. They knew they were good at it early on and went straight into it. And I'm glad I didn't, because I've seen those people come and go endlessly. And now I'm 50 and I feel like I've got actually something worthwhile to say that I didn't have 15 years ago or even 5 years ago. I felt like the last few years I started to feel like, things are making sense. The pattern recognition of just existing. What I found interesting What I find interesting is the older you get, time speeds up. And when time speeds up, you can start to recognize patterns more quickly because it's in a more condensed period of time. Those patterns come closer together. So you recognize the patterns. And so at 50, time's much more faster than it was at 45 or even 40 or 35. So you can recognize the interesting things going on in life just through the fact that I'm older and time's just hooning. And those patterns are easily more prevalent now, and I can recognize them faster because it's in a more condensed space of time. Anyway, I'm crapping on.